I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Nitin Chhabra. He is CEO at Ace Turtle. Nitin, it's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Judy, for having me here.
It's a pleasure. So Nitin, tell me about Ace Turtle and your journey so far.
So we started off in 2014 as a SaaS company focused on enterprise clients. And our clients typically would be lifestyle brands, large brands, who would be retailing through multiple channels, both online and offline. And what we would do is we would integrate their online and offline channels and enable them for omni-channel commerce. For us, we were the first ones to be in this space for omni-channel enablement. So we grew very, very quickly, and it was a good journey until we hit 2019. And then 2019, we realized that some of our clients were not growing as much, as they used to. And when we dig in deeper, we realized that the challenge they were facing were mostly around their own operational capability. So the moment they were hitting certain threshold of orders, they were not able to fulfill because their systems and their operational capability was, not aligned with that. So then we realized that, okay, if we have to make sure these clients scale, then we have to offer them that help so that we can enable them for the operations as well. So then in 2019, we also started offering operational services like logistics, other operations, so that they could scale further. And that's when we became a full stack player from being only software player. And then 2020, of course, we all know what happened. The pandemic hit, and it was a very, very tough time for us because I don't know whether you're aware, in India, when the first lockdown happened, there was no shipping allowed even for e-commerce. So because we could understand, because the government wanted to use the infrastructure for essentials, for medicines and so on and so forth. So for those months, we were sitting on nil revenue. Our clients couldn't pay us because they themselves were struggling for survival. So it was a very, very tough time for us. And fortunately for us, Vertex, who was our lead investor, they helped us out during that point of time. And then when the first lockdown got over, the platform hit a different scale because the existing brands started growing. The new brands who had their inventory stuck in the retail stores wanted to sell their inventory on online channels and fulfill from the stores, and that's where our platform came in and helped them out. And then that was a fantastic time, maybe the best year for us during our SaaS journey. And then we also saw again that, of course, everybody was growing at that point of time, like everywhere in the world, because the whole online piece was growing. But there were some clients who were not growing as much as the other clients. And when we double clicked, we realized that these clients were essentially, they were great brands, but they had legacy internal systems and processes which were not enabling them to grow and scale faster. At the same time, they had lots of middlemen in the value chain, like you would do, how the old world used to operate, and the change management and adoption of tech was becoming a problem for them. Okay. So then we thought that why don't we acquire some of these brands, or rather go to the headquarters or regional headquarters, as the case may be, and say, okay, we want to be operators for these brands because they were fantastic brands. And that's what we did. So we went to the HQ of these brands, and we actually took over the business of these brands end to end as operators as well. The difference, of course, being that they were running it in an old model way. With us, we were running through our tech. So that was the main difference between them. And then the moment we launched with these brands, we of course had a business plan, etc. But we grew 5.5, 6 times of a business plan, and it was very, very clear that this model through our tech can grow very, very fast. And so we went back to the board and said, okay, initially we had thought that this new vertical where we took over the business of the brands, we were calling it captive brands, because that was the whole idea. We'll have the SaaS business being the main business, and captive will be captive to us because those are long-term contracts. And then when we told the board that, okay, now we have new problems to solve, because now we are realizing that now we are also into design, we are also manufacturing our own products, and we also have these brick and mortar store which we have taken over from these brands, and these are black boxes which also need tech help. So we needed to move our entire tech bandwidth into solving these new problems. So the board agreed, and we finally started letting go of our SaaS clients. So as of now, we have almost let go of all the clients on the SaaS side, and we focus on what we used to call it the captive brands business, but now largely that's our main business. So what we do is that We manage international brands end-to-end for the Indian market, which is from manufacturing, design to consumer. And the whole model is channel agnostic. That's how whole model works.
Okay. Wow, well, Nitin, that is quite a journey so far. So India is in an exciting phase of digital transformation across all sectors. Tell me, how is Ace Turtle transforming the retail sector in India?
I think, what makes us different is the traditional retailers or brands, typically these organizations, they are trying to move away from their traditional processes and systems and trying to get into more digitized way to be more appealing to the consumer, access the new consumer who wants to shop when he or she wants to shop and from wherever he or she wants to shop at any time, at their point of time, their given time. So these challenges, they are trying to figure it out. But they, of course, have a dependency on third-party applications, and I think their DNA also makes a big difference. So just to give you an example, we, of course, we came in from tech and not the other way around because we were essentially a tech company and moving into retail. And so what we do is when we find a problem, our first instinct is, okay, can we solve it through tech? And we write our own code. So we're not dependent on a third party to create some application which will solve a problem which might or might not work for us. So I think that's what really kind of makes us different. And I think the big difference here would be that when we take over the brands, the business of the brands, what we do there is that the first thing which we do is that we let go of their whole wholesale business. Why? Because in wholesale you do not get any consumer data. And this customer data is very important for us because ours is a very circular model. And what I mean by that is that we connect with the consumer directly, either through our retail stores or through online. And what happens here is that any behavior of the customer, any preference choices of the customer, we get to know immediately, and that's fed into our supply chain. So that becomes an end-to-end model. So we get the customer data, feed to supply chain pushes the product into the market. And that, I think, has really well worked for us. Second thing, what we typically do is that in India, I don't know about here, but there the brands are very siloed. So you have, it's a very channel-wise approach, not a customer-centric approach. So you will have a department store channel, like a Macy's, et cetera, and then you would have a retail channel, which is brand's own retail, and then you'll have an e-commerce channel, and then you might also have a mom-and-pop store kind of a channel. So you have inventory which is siloed for all of these channels. You also have customers which are captive to each of these channels, but you never have a view across the customer behavior across these channels. So what we do is through our tech, through our platform, we connect all these channels. We let go of the wholesale because there's no customer data coming back to you because you're operating through somebody else. And the direct channels like the retail stores or the online channels, we connect to our platform, and now we get the customer data back. So what we also do is the inventory is all connected, whether it is in the fulfillment centers, within the warehouse, or with even lying in the retail stores. All this inventory gets published across all the channels. So whenever an order comes from anywhere, it gets pushed to our platform, and our platform then figures out what's the most optimized stock point to fulfill at that point of time. We also have a view now across how the customer is behaving across these channels because they're all connected to a circular platform of ours. So I think that's what's made a difference in how quickly we were able to scale when we took over these brands. And I'm very happy to say that profitably as well.
Okay, and finally, Nitin, tell me, what does the future hold for Ace Turtle?
I think we are fortunate to be in a market which is growing at 6.5–7%. We have a middle class which is about 430 million people, which if you just compare, it's more than the population of US. So that's the number of people we have only in the middle class. Of course, our whole population is 1.4 billion, but we're very focused on this middle class, which today, as I mentioned, is 430 million. In about 5 years' time, it's expected to be crossing more than 700 million people. So we're focused on this middle class. So we want to get international brands which are relevant for the Indian market, launch them through our platform, and make them more accessible to the consumers and scale fast. So that's what we're really focused on.
All right. Well, Nitin, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thank you so much, Judy.